Chelsea transfer activity is starting to take off. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. Yes, today's video is going to centre around Chelsea Football Club, whose transfer activity is really starting to take off, if you believe anything that has been said, talked and reported about the Blues this past week alone. Chelsea are seemingly putting their transfer activity, the wheels of that, in motion this week, as there have been a lot of reports linking Chelsea with a bunch of names from different places. We already know that they've sold Ian Maatsen to Aston Villa. The final parts of that deal are being finalised. I think it all just comes down to a medical, which I think part is done as we speak. We're just waiting for official confirmation on that. But the players that are coming in, not quite what I would have imagined would have been top of Chelsea's wish list this summer, or at least a lot of Chelsea fans' wish list this summer. But this kind of scattergun-like approach is very interesting, to say the least. Within the past week alone, they've been linked with the likes of Aston Villa youngster Omari Kellerman. Now, that deal seems to be pretty much a done deal. We'll talk more on that a little bit later. And John Duran, also of Aston Villa. Interesting one there. We also know about the Michael Olise stuff. There's Nico Williams, the Spanish winger that is currently doing very well for Spain in the Euros. And a player who, I'm going to butcher the name of this terribly, so I do apologise in advance. Samu Omaridian. Omaridian? I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. If I'm not, please let me know in the comments. I do genuinely apologise. But a lot of players being linked, and the latest one to be linked is Jonathan David. Now, we're going to focus on David because it's the freshest link, but we're also going to be talking about the other links as well, and we're also going to be trying to make sense of Chelsea's scattergun-like approach this week. But before we go any further in talking about Chelsea or any of the players that have been linked with the club, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and probably greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it. That makes for great and interesting reading, I'm sure, down below. So please do get involved down there. Otherwise, let's get on with the video. Let's talk Chelsea. Let's talk the players that they've been linked with. Let's talk their approach this summer. It does feel a bit scattergunny. This past week has been basically a new story every day surrounding Chelsea and their approach to their transfer activity this summer. One thing that does seem to be clear is that they're after a striker. The likes of John Duran, like I say, the Meridian links as well. We know Omari Kellerman is a very young striker as well. Jonathan David, the latest link, is obviously a striker as well. So we know that the striking options at Chelsea are set to be beefed up this summer. We know that they are after them. And the Jonathan David links are interesting. David Ornstein put out a tweet yesterday, or X'd yesterday. It's still Twitter to me, goddammit. He says, exclusive, Chelsea hold talks with reps of Lille striker Jonathan David over potential summer move. 24-year-old high among multiple Chelsea options, plus contract till 2025, so likely to be reasonable fee. No approach to Lille yet, but good relations between the clubs. Jonathan David, of course, a guy who a few years ago was being talked about as the next big thing, and then hype quickly died down on him. He has since been linked with the likes of, I remember, Arsenal seemingly holding some interest. I think Liverpool did at some point, and maybe one or two other clubs as well. But the hype died down on him. But there's a common thread amongst all these players. Omari Kellerman. Chelsea close to agreement with Aston Villa to sign Omari Kellerman. Chelsea deal for 18-year-old striker expected to be struck at £19 million. England youth international still needs to finalise terms and do medical before completing switch. And that was from David Ornstein, who quoted The Athletic after Matt Law, of course, did the initial reveal on that one. And then David Ornstein again, via The Athletic, tweeted about the Michael Elise. He broke the Michael Elise news that said exclusive. Chelsea withdraw from the race to sign Crystal Palace winger Michael Elise. Chelsea held talks with Crystal Palace, 22-year-old, but felt finances involved beyond reach. Instead, planned to reward existing player and new recruits. Expected to add 2 attackers this summer. The common thread amongst them, amongst the Michael Elise stuff, amongst Jonathan David, Mari Kellerman, they pulled out of the Nico Williams deal because of finances. The Omaridian deal, conflicting reports on that. It's being said that Chelsea might come back in for him. It's also being said by other sources that Chelsea have now dropped their interest in him. So watch this space on that one. It all comes down to money. And even the John Duran deal is all down to money seemingly as well. There doesn't seem to be any issues with the money side of things for these players. But then you look at why. And it's because Jonathan David probably isn't on that much money wage-wise with Lille. I mean, in comparison to some overpaid players at least. Amari Kellerman is a youngster, so obviously his wages aren't going to be stupidly high either. They pulled out of the Michael Elise thing, supposedly down to financial reasons. Also because Elise rejected them, but they weren't going to pay the wages that Elise was seemingly demanding. Nico Williams, it's being said that it's again down to the financial package. It's all to do with money because it's never been a problem for Chelsea before. The money has never been a problem for Chelsea before. And now suddenly they're pulling out of deals because they see wages too high. Because they see fees too high. And that's why they're turning to the likes of Jonathan David, who only have 1 year left on their contract, so of course the fee may be lowered. And of course I don't really think the wages are going to be too much of a problem for a guy like Jonathan David. The same can be said for Amari Kellerman, of course. The same can be said for John Duran. Maybe even Omaridian. It's financial disputes. It is financial disputes that are seemingly making Chelsea turn to cheaper alternatives. And the question is why? And it obviously, to me at least, comes down to past mistakes. Past mistakes of certain players that haven't worked out, certain transfers that haven't worked out. Because there's no way you can tell me that for the Elise one in particular, he turned down Chelsea in favour of Bayern Munich. Now, you can say that obviously Bayern Munich at this current point in time are a bigger club. I know they just had, by their standards, a horrific nightmare of a season, finishing third, not winning any silverware whatsoever. But they are still at least in the Champions League. They've still got Champions League football to kind of pull people into. And of course, the likelihood is, even with Vincent Kompany at the helm, they are likely to once again be top contenders for silverware again next season. Elise probably went there, different challenge, different club, different opportunities, and overall, Champions League football. That's probably what he rejected Chelsea for in favour of Champions League football. I can understand that and I can get that to a certain degree. But for Chelsea, it's worrying this. It's worrying that for a Chelsea side who last season fell down because of the inexperience of their club, or their squad, sorry. The inexperience of their squad. A lot of people put it down to Pochettino. He is not blameless, but I still think a lot of it was down to the squad players, and of course, simultaneously then, the recruitment of those squad players. You're going for youth again. And particularly in an area that definitely needs beefing up with experience. That is the one key area I would say for Chelsea that needed to be beefed up with experience would be the front line. Because as much as Cole Palmer pretty much carried Chelsea on his back for about the majority of last season, Nicholas Jackson actually, at least output-wise, had a better season than what most people gave him credit for. Can't do it on their own. And especially when Jackson was missing quite easy chances. His goal contribution could have been up by several more goals had he had just that extra bit of composure and clinical edge about him in the final third. But that is the one area I would have said that Chelsea need beefing up the most with experience. And them not doing that, and looking at the likes of Jonathan David, who is 24 years of age and scored 26 goals in 48 appearances in all competitions for Lille last season. Amari Kellerman, who's a very young player. Highly rated, yes. But still going to be young, rough around the edges. And knowing Chelsea, will probably be loaned out. And will probably be used as a bit of a cash cow to loan out to. John Duran, who scored 5 goals in 23 appearances last season. Now, you could say that that was only in about 476 odd minutes or whatever, according to transfer marks. But even so, still a little bit untested at a consistent and long distance level. It does speak volumes that Chelsea are going after these youngsters and are putting their seemingly all their faith in it. Is it down to them having that much faith in the project at Chelsea and Enzo Maresca that they're doing this? Is this down to just their limitations of, the financial rules that they're obviously having to try and keep within the guidelines of? Is this them trying not to make past mistakes again? Is this a big youth term project that they've actually planned out? I highly doubt it, but it could be a possibility. I'm very much interested in what you guys think as well on this. Like I say, I have my theories that this is just Chelsea paying for their past mistakes, and it's going to be a long process to make up for that and to kind of cover for that. And I've already said that this Enzo Maresca experiment, if you like, is probably doomed before it's even properly started. And if I was a Chelsea fan, I would be worried. Because if you're pulling out of deals for Premier League proven quality players like Michael Elise because of financial gain, because let's face it, you very well could have taken Elise off of Bayern Munich. Could have took him off Crystal Palace. Without having Champions League football, I know you've only got the Europa Conference League, but you still have that sort of pull to do that. You've done it before against Arsenal. You did it before against Liverpool. I know that obviously Liverpool had Europa League football, and obviously, the likes of Mykhailo Mudryk and people of that nature were obviously on the verge of joining Arsenal reportedly. But that's still not the point. The point is you still took those players out of their grasp. You still could have done it, but you pulled out seemingly for financial gain, if you are to obviously believe those reports. That speaks volumes that you're not willing to go that extra mile for a Premier League proven quality player. And now you're turning your attention to players that are a bit unproven. Some of them have more potential than others. But again, it's about youth, it's about promise, it's about potential. And they're going into an environment that has already got plenty of players like that. And not all of them are going to grow to the level that you're hoping that they will. And that is the worrying thing, is that they won't do that. They won't all grow together. One or two of them will be head and shoulders above the rest, such as your likes of Cole Palmer of last season. But not everyone's going to reach that level. And again, you're going to have to churn out more money to either A, get rid of some of the players that are there, churn out more money to bring some players in to fill the gaps. And there doesn't seem to be a clear plan at Chelsea, or at least a well thought out plan as to how to get out of the mess that you've made. For me, some of the players that are being mentioned here, I don't know too much about. I don't know a lot about Omari Kellerman. All I know is that Villa fans kind of rate him a little bit. John Duran, I've seen a handful of times. He looks okay in front of goal, but again, I haven't seen him at a consistent level or a longevity kind of level to really make a proper judgment of that. I've only seen little glimpses of his finishing here and there. The Michael Elise and Nicholas Williams ones are interesting that they've pulled out of them. But the Jonathan David one, for me, it just speaks volumes of where Chelsea are at right now. Look, this guy could very well come in and like hit the ground running and shock everybody like he was supposed to a few years ago. But I personally don't see it. And I'm worried that, well, if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be worried that if we're not going to spend the money, the wages, the financial package overall on players that are Premier League quality, Premier League worthy, going to be an upgrade on some of the players that we already have at that club, it's going to be another frustrating year, 2 years, 3 years of hoping that these players hit the ground running, hoping that these players reach the potential that is expected or projected of them. And I just don't think it's all going to work out. And I would be worried if I was a Chelsea fan right now. But there you have it. Those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Chelsea this summer? What do you make of some of the rumours and whispers and transfer rumour mill things going around? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, all on that down below in the comment section. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section, like I say. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. Thanks everyone again, and I'll see you all again soon in another video, live stream, or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you again very, very soon.